Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome once again to this very important program. Today is day 5. It has been good so far with the synergy between Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy and the Nigerian Guild of Editors. We are certainly winning, passing information to our people, exchanging ideas, and doing our best to see how we can help our people to cope with COVID-19 pandemic. So you are all welcome. Very good that the house is full. I think we reached 30, and all our invited guests are in the house. I've seen Dr. Sonny Aliyu, the National Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 pandemic. I've seen Mazi Sam Ohabua, the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. I've seen the DG of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyaye. The WHO representative is here, Amzat Omotayo. And so many other very important personalities in the house. Here in the studio, we have, the house is getting more and more interesting. Yeah, I have with us here Dr. Mrs. Ibru, who has led the way for our Chairman Board of Fellow, Professor Bankfemi Oyewo, in celebrating 70 when they are supposed to be 55 or 60. But we are not complaining, ma. Just looking at you, and we are praying that one day we'll be like you. Sir? We know you don't have any cause to people reduce their age, but in your own particular case, you seem to be increasing it. It's all right. We thank God for the grace of the Lord in your life. Mrs. Foluka Akinaranye is here, and we have the ever presence of the Vice President of the Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, Sir Ifenyo Ateyi, and our President has always been here since Monday. So we thank God that this program, it has taken a life of its own. The comments that we get after the program, the participation, and we see that really we're on the right course. And like I said, our purpose is true, our intentions are genuine, and we know that after this, people must have learned more about the pandemic, and they are better able to cope with it. Today is power-packed, really power-packed, talking about the role of the regulatory and international bodies. Since Monday, people have been talking about NAFDAC, been talking about all other agencies. Now today we have the distinguished presence of the DG of NAFDAC and the registrar of the councils of all the healthcare professionals here. So let's start with the national anthem. Let's rise. Thank you so much. As it is our practice, we will take the opening prayer. Yes, let them continue to say that we pray so much in Nigeria. Yes, we'll continue to pray. We are God's people. God loves us so much. So may I request Dr. Mrs. Margaret Ibru to give us a word of prayer. Where is the second microphone? Okay.
Sovereign Lord, eternal Rock of Ages, our Heavenly Father, only to you alone do we bow. We thank you, Lord. We thank you for this great nation, Nigeria. We thank you for all the prayers that are being answered. We prayed that the scientists would find a solution to this dilemma, and we thank you that solution has been found. We cannot thank you enough, O Lord. Come into the minds of the people and enlighten them, O Lord. And let us agree and move ahead in this world that you're resetting to the glory of your name. May your name be glorified. May the pharmacy profession continue to work stronger. May all the healthcare workers continue to be healthy, O Lord. We thank you for all the benefits that we receive from you daily, knowingly or unknowingly, sought after or not. You are the sovereign Lord. May your name continuously be glorified in this nation and everywhere in all our homes and in our professions. We ask you all this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mrs. Ibro. Yes, the program of the day is already leaving to its Power Pack bill. As I'm saying right now, we have about 51 in the House, and this is really, really very good. We still talking about recognition. We have a lot of people in the House. We have seen Monica, the director of NAPHARM, NAFDAC, and I'm sure there will be more people. Fellow Enebele has always been around. Olagan, my president, Zubi Keokwo, is going to play a major role today. He's the moderator of the day. And he's speaking to us from the High Hill in Abuja. I've been asking him to take me with him, but he has not done so. I hope you will tell you worldwide today. The National Secretary of Affairs is the President is there. Azu, my boss, we have not heard your voice for a long time. I may have to commandeer you to speak to us today. You've done so much to make this program to keep moving. So let's proceed because we have so much to do today, and people we really want to ask questions and clear their doubts as far as the COVID pandemic is there. Oh, I forgot to mention my chairman. My chairman, I'm sorry. When I was introduced, you stepped out. That's IG Anoko. You know, in pharmacy, we have our own IG. You have your own IG in Abuja, but here in Lagos. Yeah, most welcome. Let me therefore call on Dr. Mrs. Ibro to introduce the chairman of the day. Mrs. Ibro, please.
All protocols duly observed, but respect to my president, our own dear Prince, as you all know. It's a privilege to be asked to introduce today's chairman. In fact, 1,000 words cannot describe him. So we have to put just a short review for you to understand the caliber of the person and the men that the pharmacists have generously donated to the world. The chairman of today's is an exceptionally integrous elder statesman, highly esteemed in his community of origin, respected in Nigeria among all professionals and across the world. He is an enviable entrepreneur, pioneer of many credible enterprises, an honorable pharmacist, founder and former head of Nemet Pharmaceuticals PLC. He is a proven lay minister of God, a social worker, nation builder, honored twice by the Nation Member of Order of the Niger, an officer of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 2018, he was again honored, or 2013, pardon me, honored with the National Productivity Order of Merit. Our chairman for today is a prolific writer, an author, a columnist in 3 national dailies. A genuine what you see is what you get believer and worshiper who never fails to attribute all his achievements to God, the creator of the universe. So much to be said about this honorable son of Nigeria, who is a fellow of several professional organizations, but worthy of mention are fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, and the list continues. Time does not permit me to list out all his merits and achievements. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, virtual and in-house, please join me to applaud and celebrate as we welcome the chairman of today's occasion, the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, leader of the new Nigerian group, and by the grace of God, the future president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mazi Samuel Ihanyi Chukwu Ohuabunwa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mrs. Ebro. You've spoken so well. May I now invite the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria to speak to us. President, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning, very distinguished professionals on this conference this morning. Let me start with acknowledging our mentor-in-chief, our encourager, our leader, and the president of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, our own Prince Julius Adelusi Adelui. I greet you, sir. Good morning, sir. Let me acknowledge the very distinguished officers of the Academy, some who are seated here, especially our father figure and our role model, a man who belies his age in his level of activities, his level of dedication and committee on that, and fellows of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and fellows of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacy who are here in this platform this morning. I want to thank our hardworking chairman of this committee or coordinator, Lolu Ojo, who is so always willing and ready to take on any assignment he's given without complaining. And he puts a lot of panache behind his work. Let me acknowledge the chairman of my board of fellows, who is my sister and my friend, a woman with a golden heart and a golden face. Dr. Mrs. Ibru, you are my sister, so I wouldn't expect you to do less in the very generous way you've introduced me this morning. So I thank everybody who is here. Let me not spend too much more time on protocols. Today, we are going to be listening to a very distinguished woman, the DG of NAFDAC, who is not only an academic, but also a patent holder, a woman who has been involved in practice and theory, and has bestrodden the continent of the United States and African continent. If we're looking for somebody with experience, with hands-on experience, not just theoretical experience, we have one in Professor Adeyeye Moji, who is going to speak this morning. But before we invite her to speak, I think I need to applaud our Academy for this very wonderful program, which I believe is not only well thought through, but well packaged, and actually giving the Academy a good image. Getting this relationship with the media and the profession of journalism, for me, it's trying to hit a bull's eye, because so often you have something to say, so often you desire to say them, but you don't have the right platform. And maybe when you even say them, nobody hears you. So it's the wisdom of the Academy and its leadership to bring this joint partnership with the Nigerian journals, Nigerian journalists, who are the people that give vent to what we say and help to propagate the ideas that we have to fashion out. On the matter of roles of regulatory and international bodies in the management of COVID-19, I first also would like to commend the media and the profession of journalism for the work they have done, not only in Nigeria, but globally. Because if there was one subject that is fairly well known across the world, including the literate and the non-literate community, the advanced and yet advancing communities and societies, I think knowledge about COVID-19 has become very, 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 if you like to say, pedestrian in terms of the fact that it's gotten everywhere. So that would have a lot of work by the media. And the media owners have propagated the information sharing. This is a conference and a summit that has lasted about 1 week. And today we are focusing on what is the role of regulatory and international bodies. To be sincere to you, if you ask me who has more role between the man who discovers a medicine and the man who says this medicine is safe for human consumption, we might have to argue a lot as to who has a bigger role. The man who discovers medicine or a cure or a palliative for any given indication has done so well and always must be applauded, because it takes a lot to discover things. It takes a lot, technology, a lot of investment, financial, and the exploitation of human knowledge to be able to come out with moieties that can help relieve illnesses, especially the one that took a nation or took the globe by storm. In my life, I've never seen one single thing that united the world. It used to be some geographical issues, but this was a global issue, even much more devastating and much more pervasive than even the global economic crisis we have had every once in a while, with the last one happening in 2009, 2010. So the discovery of medicines, vaccines, therapeutics, and all that we need for managing COVID, it's a major achievement. And I'm sure all those who recognize efforts, who recognize technological and scientific breakthroughs, who recognize the people who are playing roles to bring relief to humanity at this time. However, when you now find that when these medicines, when these release, when these palliatives come to the marketplace, the man or the woman whom the majority of the people are relying on are the regulatory agencies and international bodies. First, to certify and to guarantee that these medications or palliatives, therapeutics, preventive, or what have you, are safe for human use or human consumption. That is the regulatory agencies. And I think they carry perhaps more burden, if you ask me, than even the inventor. The inventor makes a claim, or the innovator, and that claim can be right or wrong. But people don't really believe the claim of the inventor or the innovator, but they believe the regulatory agency. And in Nigeria, NAFDAC has come to signal that trustworthy regulatory agency. And I believe that that role is what regulatory agencies globally have played, from the FDA to the European Medicines Commission and other global and national regulatory agencies. They have played roles to bring comfort to consumers of therapeutics, medicines, vaccines, and other things that have been used to manage this global pandemic. And of course, international bodies have played very big catalytic roles. First, to get together all the participants and all the stakeholders to start research, to be partners that have helped to bring us to where we are. So this morning, in having Mrs. Ade and the rest of those in the panel, including our Registrar of the Pharmacists Council and other regulators and international bodies, we must raise a toast for these regulatory and international bodies, because in history of man, in 1 year, thereabouts, we have been able to contain, to some degree, this invasive and invading and tormenting pandemic called COVID-19. And the role of regulatory agencies and international bodies have been quite significant. And I believe that this morning, as we listen and discuss, we'll be able to understand more what they are doing and perhaps be able to make some suggestions as to areas where we think things need to be done better, where we need greater synergy, where we need greater involvement of the professionals, professional groups like the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria or the Academy, to be able to support the work that the regulatory agencies do and international bodies. Having said this far, I would like to pause and thank you again for the work you've done. I'm talking about the organizing committee of this program and also the leadership of our college. I believe that we're going to have a fiesta and a very rewarding experience this morning. Today, I think, wraps up this 1 week of very intensive interaction of the subject of COVID-19. And I think anybody who hasn't gotten much before today will be able to get a balance to have a full, rich harvest of this fiesta. Once again, thank you for inviting me and the honor of being asking me to be the chair of this session. As you can note, I'm in a moving vehicle. I just arrived at Port Harcourt from Abuja, and I'm headed out to some other place on the road in pursuit of the vision God has given us for this season. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. We appreciate you. I'm not unaware of your schedule. We met in New York recently, and I just say the Lord will provide the natural vitamins for you to cope to cope with the stress of the day. Thank you for your words, which has actually set tone for what we are here for today. Today is anti-climax really, and I'm sure that the house is getting crowded already. We have, I think, about 80 people in the house, And I'm sure before the DG of NAFDAC will finish our address, the house will be full. May I therefore call on the National Chairman of Association of Industrial Pharmacists of Nigeria, Pharmacist Ignatius Anoko, to introduce the keynote speaker of the day. IG, please.
The chairman of today's occasion, pharmacist Maazi Sam Ohuabunwa, our distinguished chairman, president of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, Prince Julius Adelusi Adelui, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's really a great honor for me to introduce the keynote address speaker of today's event, in the person of Professor Mojishola Christiana Adeyeye. Professor Mojishola Christiana Adeyeye is the Director General of Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, where she is leading regulatory and administrative reforms through agency-wide quality management system approach as a result of 1.5 years agency-wide training and ISO 9001-2015 certification in 2019. As part of establishment of strong governance structure, Professor Adeyeye also initiated in 2018 the WHO Global Benchmarking as ISO 9004 audit. That is a strong foundation-laying regulatory strengthening paradigm shift that embraces international standards and best practices. The goal of the ongoing audit is to reach maturity level 3 first, and then level 4. She is driven to make the supply chain visible, strengthen overall health systems, and improve patient outcomes. As a consequence, she is leading the GS1 technology-driven traceability campaign that is now being used for the monitoring of COVID-19 vaccines as a scalable project. She inaugurated Nigerian Herbal Medicines Product Committee, HMPC, as a means of fostering research involving herbal practitioners and academic researchers, while the intellectual property is protected. The ultimate goal is to turn complementary alternative medicine into a research-driven, regulatory-controlled, commercially viable commodities. Professor Adeyeye currently serves as the chair of the steering committee of the African Medicines Regulatory Harmonization and the WHO-based Global Pediatric Regulatory Network. She represents NAFDAC on the International Coalition of Medicines Regulatory Authorities and has been invited to be on the steering committee of the Global Steering Committee-led COVID-19 Traceability Governance Team. She is a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science, Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy, an academic research fellow of American Association of College of Pharmacy. She is the first African woman fellow of American Association of Pharmaceutical Scientists, a society where only about 3% of academia receives such recognition internationally. She is Professor Emeritus of Pharmaceutics and Drug Product Evaluation at the College of Pharmacy, Roosevelt University in Schaumburg, Illinois, USA. She was Professor of Pharmaceutics and Manufacturing for 21 years at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, USA, before joining Roosevelt University, from where she retired. She has monitored over 15 PhD and MSc candidates, has 5 patents, and over 65 peer-reviewed manuscripts, books, chapters, and books, and more than 150 scientific presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote address speaker, Professor Moji Christiana Adeyemi.
Madam DG, the floor is yours.
Thank you very, very much. I would like to say thank you for all that are in attendance of this meeting. I'm very, very humbled, and I mean it. I mean every word of the word humbled. Because of those that are present at this meeting, and because of the subject that we're going to be discussing. I will be sharing my slides, but the slides, each slide is not proportionate to the content that I will be talking about. I will fly through some slides. I will dwell on some slides more than others. So please bear with me. Again, I would like to thank the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, the organizing committee. We thank God that we are all here today. A lot has taken place for the past 1 year, and we cannot just but thank God. I will be sharing my slides now, and I hope everybody can see it. Let's see. Can you see the slides?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
We can see it.
Let me put it on.
Yes, you can see it.
Okay, thank you so much. COVID-19 facts and myths, and then the way forward. What is the role of regulatory and international bodies? I will go through this outline as shown here, but as an introduction, which is really not an introduction to this audience, because all of us are part and parcel of what is going on. COVID-19 pandemic was reported to have started in December 2019, and we jump a year plus after that. The first dose of COVID-19 vaccine was administered in Nigeria. There is a lot of activities between these periods. The coronavirus outbreak poses is posing an unprecedented challenge to global health. It has led to severe economic shock all over the world, and the crisis has placed governments worldwide under extreme pressure and put in place emergency regulations for containing the pandemic. These measures have, in some cases, succeeded in slowing the spread of the virus and in reducing the death toll, but have also frozen business activity in many sectors, widening inequality, disrupted education, and undermined confidence in the future. COVID-19 vaccine, or COVID-19 disease, I'm sorry, I don't need to explain it that much, but I would like us to just look at the structure of this virus with the E protein, the viral mRNA within, and the spike. This spike has attraction to the ACE2 receptor that are present in the lungs. So that is why it is called severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. That is the exploitation that this virus is having on human body, and it has caused such a damage. The symptoms I don't need to go through. All of us know about the symptoms. What are the myths and facts? COVID-19 was created in a lab. Many of these I will just say no to, because we have all the answers. I don't want to spend time on the slides. Questions can come up later if there is need for clarity. COVID-19 was not created in a lab, but based on other coronaviruses. They think the virus may have started in bats. And mingling with animals might have transferred it to human beings, and then the pandemic broke out. COVID-19 vaccines are safe because drug companies are unsafe. I'm sorry, because drug companies created them quickly. Nope, the COVID vaccines are safe, not because drug companies created them quickly, but because a lot has been done before 2020 about, a lot has been known about the virus from China experience, and a lot of technology. What we never thought we could do in 1 hour before, now we are doing what could ordinarily take 24 hours or 48 hours. So it's technology that drove the development. It is transmitted in cold climate. Nope. It affects Black and African peoples less. No and yes. No, because Black Americans in America, rather, in the US, died more than white Americans. So it is a myth that it affects Black and African people less. However, in terms of African people less, yes, statistics or data have shown that the death ratio is generally low in Africa. But let's talk about Nigeria. And this is my opinion. Our faulty healthcare delivery system has led to the low death ratio in Nigeria. Our faulty healthcare delivery system has led to the low death ratio in Nigeria. Why? Because we have pharmacists and pharmacies all over. If not because of that, a lot of Nigerians will have died. That's why I call it faulty. However, you can always pick good out of what is apparently look as if it is not good. Why am I saying this? There has been acknowledgement, whether true, wholly or not, that chloroquine works. There has been acknowledgement that ivermectin works. In fact, there's a lot of data that have supported that. Our pharmacists are the backbone of our primary health in Nigeria. Again, this is my opinion. We can debate on it. It will be a healthy debate. But that COVID-19 affects Black less? No. African peoples less? Yes. Nigerians included. COVID-19 only affects old people, meaning young people don't have it. We know now that that is not true. Antiretroviral treatment for HIV will stop me from getting COVID-19? Nope. COVID-19 can be transmitted through goods produced in countries where there's ongoing transmission. There's no proof to that. Wearing mask or face covering can be harmful because I could breathe in carbon dioxide and won't receive enough oxygen. That is not true. I wear double face masks and I could breathe very well. But if somebody has upper respiratory infection, or problem, then that may be an exception, but not the rule. The vaccine is unsafe because it was developed so quickly. I've mentioned that. It is not unsafe because it is developed so quickly. The vaccine includes a tracking device. I just marvel for this. First, because we have very little knowledge of what the conspiracy theorists were peddling. There is no tracking device. The Pfizer-BioNTech had a lipid delivery system or lipid-based delivery system to be able to carry the molecule to the site within the cell. So it is not, there's no tracking device. Some people also say that it has luciferase, and they tag that to Lucifer. Luciferase an enzyme. So there is nothing luciferous or satanic in COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccine has severe side effects such as allergic reactions. This was being peddled before we even started our own rollout in Nigeria. COVID-19 vaccine or vaccines all over the world got emergency use authorizations. And drug product development goes through or has phases 1, 2, 3 as part of the development processes. Phases 1, 2, 3 are controlled studies in controlled environments. You have exclusive criteria, inclusive criteria, meaning you are using the perfect subject. However, when the vaccines now get to post-marketing, whether it is a COVID-19 vaccine or ordinary commodity or drug, now it goes to the real world. Now millions of people are using it. At phase 3 or in phase 3, you may have 20,000, 30,000 people, but all in controlled patients or subjects. Therefore, what you did not see in phase 3, you may see in millions. Just like the blood clot that was said to be happening now with J&J and with AstraZeneca, there were 6 events in the US after 7 million people have been vaccinated with J&J. So 1 in 1 million. That is part and parcel of drug product development. Is one person, you know, is 6 people not significant? Of course it is. There was 1 death, 1 fatality. That is too many. Unfortunately, that is part and parcel of product development. Even when a drug has been in the market for many years, there may be a situation where fatalities can happen. And that is where the package insert or the leaflet insert is changed. That's when the black box can be added to the package insert that, well, millions have used this. This is very rare. So COVID vaccine, 19 vaccine may have severe side effects, such as allergic reactions, but it is not because it is COVID-19 vaccine, it is because that may happen as part of product development. Herd immunity will slow the spread of COVID-19. Yeah, there was a very wacky statement that lets everybody get the immunity, the disease, and the herd immunity will be reached after millions or billions have died. 70% will not need to get the virus, because now you have everybody that have been immunized through infections. But that is a very, very wacky theory. However, herd immunity can be reached and the virus stamped out by vaccinating 70 to 80% of the population. Another myth is vitamin and mineral supplements can cure COVID-19. No, they cannot cure COVID-19, but they can boost immunity. I use vitamin D. I've been using vitamin D for maybe 10 years. And I know that my immune level is better than what it used to be. But that doesn't mean that it's going to cure COVID-19 vaccine or COVID-19 disease, sorry. Drinking warm water rinses the COVID-19 virus from my throat. Nope. Taking a hot bath can stop COVID-19. Nope. Rinsing my nose with saline can stop COVID-19. Nope. The COVID-19 vaccines don't work on new strains of the virus. may and may not. The South African strain did not respond well with AstraZeneca vaccine, so South Africa rejected AstraZeneca vaccine. It brought the efficacy from about 70% to less than 50%. So in that case, yes, it may not work with new strain. However, the UK strain, which Nigeria also has, was not affected by AstraZeneca vaccine. And this was taken into consideration before our approval. The vaccines will make me sick with COVID-19. The fact that you got COVID-19 vaccine doesn't mean you cannot get COVID-19 disease. That is where the efficacy comes in, the percentage efficacy. Sometimes you can get this COVID-associated disease even after the vaccination. But also, if you are not protected well with a mask, not social distancing, if you get the vaccine, you may still get the disease. Another myth, I won't be able to get or stay pregnant if I take COVID-19 vaccine. That is not true. Scientific evidence has not supported that. I've had COVID-19, so I'm immune. Yes, you can be immune, but we don't know yet how long the immunity will last. This is part of the studies that are going on as we speak all over the world. I have allergies, so I cannot get COVID-19 vaccine. If you have certain serious allergies, you may opt not to get COVID-19 vaccines. I have allergies. I have very serious allergies. And I mentioned it when they were going to give me the vaccine. I said, please bring EpiPen, bring epinephrine when you are coming. They said, oh, we don't have epinephrine, we have adrenaline. Just bring it. Because I know that I have allergies. This is part of what we as healthcare delivery workers, we need to engage our clients, the subjects, especially pharmacists, because we interact more with patients than doctors. That is just the way it is in Nigeria. That is why pharmacists are extremely important in primary health. And I'm hoping that Nigeria will get to a point when they will realize that pharmacists are important. Now in the US, it is not just that pharmacists vaccinate. Now pharmacists test for COVID-19 disease, drive-through pharmacists. That is because they've realized that pharmacists are so close to the public, to the masses. Small gatherings don't spread COVID-19. Small gatherings can spread COVID-19 if masks are not used, social distancing is not done, and washing of hands is not done. If it is outside your household and there is space, yes. Small gatherings may not matter, but all the non-pharmaceuticals must take place. A negative COVID-19 test means I'm not infected. It may be true, but it doesn't. It depends on when you are tested. If you have been exposed in the morning, before the afternoon, or whatever, the negative test doesn't mean that you may not be positive. Now coming to regulatory functions. The myth is that the functions will be grounded due to lockdown. The fact is, COVID-19 pandemic has taught the world that digitalization and Internet of Things are the driving forces for business now and in the future, including regulatory businesses. NAFDAC started digitalization during the first quarter of 2018. The agency started using Zoom since April 2018. A lot of processes are since then going digital. Top management meetings, trainings, port clearance, permit issuance, e-registration, So the myth is just the myth. The lockdown and COVID-19 disease, I just want to talk briefly about this. I'm going to unpack it later. NAFDAC respective directorates never stopped working since the beginning of the lockdown. This set of directorates were there 24/7 because of our digitalization, registration, drug evaluation, lab, ports inspection, pharmacovigilance, investigation, and enforcement. That was when our new normal started, because we had to test the kits or register the kits for emergency use authorization, face masks, protective gowns, and so many other commodities that are needed for COVID-19. International regulatory cooperation and regulatory, and let me just see, something is flashing on my computer. I'm sorry, let me just click it off. I cannot read it. Okay. International regulatory cooperation and reliance. This is part and parcel of regulatory functions all over the world. The importance of cooperation or reliance. The escalation of COVID-19 crisis into a global pandemic highlights the importance of reliance. The functions of certain international committees, such as the International Coalition of Regulatory Authorities, ICMRA, has provided a good ground for such cooperation. Medicines regulatory authorities are required now to share safety information on all vaccines, and we share it on a daily basis because it's emergency use authorization that we gave to the vaccines, and there will be more information that we need to be added in this post-marketing surveillance phase where we have to do safety monitoring. Such information sharing on safety concerns will provide evidence-based decision making with respect to granting full market authorization to candidate COVID-19 vaccines globally. So the vaccines don't have full licensure right now or license, and that is part of why this phase is extremely important. The crisis has made the need for well-designed, evidence-based, and well-enforced regulation particularly acute. Very important. Responding to the pandemic has involved regulatory issues at nearly every stage. Part of our own quality management system demands that we adopt business continuity plan. You've been doing your business like this or like that for decades. Now you have a pandemic, you have an emergency situation. What do you need to do? So we got trained in this and we adopted business continuity plan. It's a strategic and dynamic plan that employs the process approach. It is implemented using plan, do, check, act cycle concept and prepared to provide services during and after disasters and other emergency situations. This has helped us greatly in NAFDAC. It ensures continuity of activities at a minimum tolerable level and within identified timelines. We have used it for sanitizers. We started approving within 24 hours up to 10 days. That is using our adopting business continuity plan. Among other things, there were so many things that I couldn't, this forum will not contain it. The agency continues to hold trainings and meetings virtually via Zoom or other electronic platforms during partial or during the lockdown. Some directorates issue pay advice for permits to clear and administrative charges. via emailing and other platforms. During the total lockdown, emails, thank God we have some computers that were in place already, and we were able to communicate well within the agency and with our stakeholders. Training did not stop. We kept training our stakeholders and having meetings with them via the virtual platforms. Virtual inspection was adopted for the food industry, where they will ask the company to go through the different items we have listed on our inspection schedule, and they will show us segments, and then later we walk through but we will have noted some aspects that may be questionable and so on. So there are things that are changing as we speak that may remain changed even after the pandemic. Emergency use listing authorization has also been used, of course, to grant authorization or temporary approval for COVID-19 vaccine. Nigeria was the first African country to develop regulatory preparedness for COVID-19 vaccine introduction, and that is on our website. The guidelines that I said is on our website, the guidelines rather, or guidance, gives the different stages or different types of approval that we could give. We could give full review if that vaccine has not been submitted or approved rather by stringent regulatory authorities or more matured authorities. Then we have to give full review. So it will take longer time. Fast track review of basic documentation, reliance, recognition. These are dependent on whether they have been given, the vaccine has been previously approved. And we have used fast track, reliance, recognition to approve AstraZeneca vaccine first, because it was approved by EMEA, it was approved by Health Canada, by Australia, and now by USA. Let me, just a minute, I have to, okay. NAFDAC, okay. NAFDAC and International Regulatory Cooperation, I want to underscore reliance and the importance of what we do on a daily basis with other countries. The COVID-19 vaccine has created an urgent demand for a strong cooperation among different countries. Nigeria is one of the 4 countries that are part of the African Union Smart Safety Surveillance, AU3S. Ethiopia, South Africa, and Ghana are the 3 other national regulatory authorities in this group. And this is to get us ready for the vaccine rollout, to let us know or make us to be more aware or to train our staff in terms of adverse event following immunization, signal detection, management of the signals, and so on. The AU3S Joint Signal Management Group has also been established, and Nigeria and Primary Health are part of this. WHO at the continental level has built capacity in terms of National Expert Committee on AEFI causality assessment. So a lot is going on internationally to make sure that the report is well captured or is well done, so that we will know which vaccine will be approved, which one will not be approved. Very likely all of them will be approved, but it depends on what comes out at the end. NAFDAC, of course, our goal is to ensure quality, safety, and efficacy. Vigilance for local content is also part of our daily drive. Access to raw materials by manufacturing companies and access to finished pharmaceutical products for those that are importing, extremely important to us, because the pandemic has taught us that we've been over-dependent, and it is high time we start doing things ourselves. Not everything, but many things ourselves. NAFDAC was able to broker between local manufacturers and CBN for the infrastructure intervention funding. Our workload was extremely increased extremely or significantly. And I was sharing with somebody yesterday or this morning that 2 of my directors almost broke down. And I said, please just stay at home. Please stay at home, because we were working round the clock. 80% of our staff were not on duty. 70 to 80%, about 70% are still not on duty. And we still have to do day-to-day activities. I've mentioned reliance in terms of what we've been using. Part of the debunking of unproven claims for cures of COVID-19 was done through press releases, NAFDAC and Your Health, that comes up every week on NTA and TVC. I mentioned we did our guidance. There we also, aside from that, we also had to take care of COVID-related clinical trials. That is Drug Evaluation and Research Directorate. To approve or not to approve clinical protocol for therapeutics, cohort event monitoring, herbal medicine submissions. I still strongly believe that we're going to find a herbal medicine that has very strong antiviral property, but they have to be submitted for listing. Over 40 submissions were received and 15 listings approved. That doesn't mean that they are used, they can be used for COVID-19. It is that they have been approved maybe for immune boosters, but not to name the cure with the herbal medicines. We were able to approve a lot of personal protective equipment. The first Nigerian-made medical face mask was approved by NAFDAC, supervised, inspected during the pandemic. And that mask now is being sold in the US. This is part of what COVID has brought to us. Protective gown from Aba was also made during that pandemic, and we approved. And then guidance on COVID-19 vaccine preparedness, I mentioned that. Now that the vaccine is here, we started preparing since October last year in terms of monitoring of the safety, because that's what we're supposed to do to safeguard the health of our people. Med Safety app was launched November 2020. The GS1 technology-driven traceability was launched October 2020. We started training and deploying personnel, our staff, for field safety monitoring the first quarter of 2021. The Med Safety app is now being used to gather adverse event following immunizations, after adverse serious events, and adverse events that have serious consequences. Still talking of the role of NAFDAC, international organizations such as ICMRA, COVAX, USAID are playing great roles in making sure that the rollout, the safety monitoring is in place. Way forward, awareness creation, intense sensitization, and enlightenment, especially in our community, because about 56% of our community are illiterate. Therefore, we have to do this awareness campaign every time. You don't see that in US, you don't see that in UK, but this is our country and we have to do that. Sustained implementation of country plans. Increase dossiers to review. These are the things we are doing as we speak, or way forward. Increase vaccination, of course. Safety monitoring, we are doing that as we speak. Monitoring of effectiveness of interventions, that will be part of the cohort event monitoring that we've already set up in 6 geographical zones. That is active pharmacovigilance. And also working with potential vaccine manufacturer, potential local vaccine manufacturer, from plant design to GMP inspection. We have to do manufacturing locally. it is high time, and I've discussed with 2 potential manufacturers. NAFDAC has to be part and parcel from the plant design so that quality is built into the plant, so that when WHO or whichever regulatory authority will want to see and give approval comes, there will not be any problem. Conclusions. I've talked about the fact that we need a lot of public awareness to debunk a lot of myths, to explain to our people, more focus on local manufacturing, as I mentioned, and NAFDAC's role in vaccine safety is intertwined into our mandate, ensuring quality, safety, efficacy, controlling the importation of other medical products and vaccines. Because when AstraZeneca was going to be brought into the country, our CRI agents, Clean Report Inspection Analysts in India, did not allow them. So we have to call them or write to them and said, please, we are waiving the inspection analysis on AstraZeneca. That is what NAFDAC does and the role that NAFDAC plays. Post-marketing safety monitoring, I've already mentioned that. Adaptable to innovative tools and digitalization, I've mentioned that. International collaboration and reliance, these are part and parcel of our regulatory activities. Work and information sharing, very, very essential. And with that, I want to say thank you for inviting me to this very important meeting. God bless.
Oh, wow. Round of applause for Madam DG. Thank you so very much, ma'am. Before now, I have personally taken some flags for you. There is nothing that has not been said. And I said, look, Madam DG herself is an experimental scientist. And that I'm convinced that you will not ask us to use the vaccines if you are not convinced in all sincerity that this is good for us. Madam, thank you so much for going through what you have gone through for us today. You have picked them one by one for people to understand. And we make sure that your presentation is available to everyone that may want to read it. Thank you so very much, ma'am. There are so many questions in the house for you. Some are very positive. Some have gone to the extreme completely. But I think that is what life is all about. And there is one principal reason why we have this program, for everybody to bring it. Just bring it. Let us discuss it. But please, and I hope you are all listening to me, don't forget why we are doing this. It's not because of you who has had a strong opinion. It's not because of me who understand, knows, and can read, and can interpret. It's because of our compatriots over there who do not understand, who may not even be able to relate to what you are talking about. And that is why those of us who should know should talk about it, so that what we are telling them is the right thing. Please note that in your comments. Madam, thank you so much. We'll get back to you very soon. I know Emmy Esuga is in the house now, the chief of party, United States Pharmacopoeia. I saw him. He has gone. Wow. Okay. So I take the responsibility to introduce our special guest of honor. No, I have to, it goes. Just give me a few minutes. I thought Mupa is already in the house. Okay, so I think it's good for us that we have with us today the national coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 pandemic management. Before I read what I have here, let me ask, is Azu in the house now? The Group Managing Director of Leadership Newspaper, are you in the house? Azu? He's my boss, and I don't want to do the work of my boss without asking him to do so. So if it's not in house, I will do it. Our special guest of honor today had his MBBS degree from Ahmadu Bello University in 1993. He worked as a medical officer at State House Clinic until 1998, when he moved to the UK to pursue a postgraduate program at Imperial College, London. He was appointed to the first joint training post in infectious diseases and medical microbiology at Cambridge University Hospitals in 2001. He completed a master's program in medical microbiology at Queen Mary University of London in 2003 with distinction, and was awarded the Draper Company Prize for the overall best graduating student. At the end of his specialist training in Cambridge, Dr. Aliyu worked briefly for a year as a consultant microbiologist in Birmingham before returning to Cambridge University Hospitals in 2008 as the first joint consultant in infectious diseases and microbiology. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Sani Aliyu to address us. Dr. Aliyu, please. Thank you so very much. Dr. Aliyu, are you unmuted? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Good, good. We can hear you now.
Okay, okay. Apologies. So if I may stand on existing protocol, thank you for inviting me to this really important occasion. I would like to clear the air by just saying that I'm no longer the national coordinator. I stepped down as the national coordinator when the presidential task force transited to a steering committee a few weeks ago. But nevertheless, I feel really honored to be here. And in particular, I'd like to thank my good friend Azu for inviting me, as well as my sister DG NAFDAC for a very good presentation. Looking at the remarks that have been coming up, I can see clearly that there is a divide with people strongly feeling for and some against the vaccine. And this is natural because at the end of the day, we are talking about something that is so critically important. And I think our key role here, both as scientists as well as members of the health community, is to make sure that the general public are provided with the information required for them to take a decision as to whether or not to take the vaccine. It's critically important that we fulfill this rule. In fact, as health professionals ourselves, we need to make sure that whatever we do is evidence-based. And we also need to try and avoid promoting myths or fallacies or disinformation. If you feel that you do not really want to have the vaccine for whatever personal reason it is, it does not make it mandatory that you should then convince other parts of the community to avoid that is clearly a public health measure. So that's all I have to say with the vaccine. I'm trying not to drag myself too far into the vaccine program. But first of all, I wanted to briefly talk about the PTF and why it was set up. The PTF was set up back in March 2019, primarily to provide an effective coordinating mechanism for what was emerging as a major public health emergency in the world. I believe Mr. President provided us with a mandate that was not only wide and encompassing, but also gave us the authority to be able to take decisions that are very rapid, that are quick, and also enabled us to coordinate effectively across the board, including with regulatory authorities and especially the international bodies. The PTF wouldn't have been able to achieve a lot of these tasks without the cooperation of professionals across the health field, in particular pharmacists. Some of you will probably not be aware that whenever I speak to pharmacists, I always think about what could have happened career-wise to me, because back in the late 80s, I was actually given admission to the University of Lagos to read pharmacy. At the same time, my twin brother, who's now in the US, was given admission to read medicine. But if not for our parents, we probably would have gone down that route. And maybe I would have been within this distinguished audience. But nevertheless, I know how critical it is that pharmacists continue to be engaged within our health system and to also advise us. From the PTF side, we've worked really closely with the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, the Council, and other regulatory agencies such as NAFDAC to make sure that whatever decision we took was consistent with what was happening outside the country, as well as in the best interest of our citizens. I know that when it came to engaging communities, it's so important that we continue to push the public confidence in these measures. So an example I would always give is when it came to trying to promote the use of PPEs, face masks, etc. We had to bring forward the local manufacturing industry, but at the time, the Standard Organization of Nigeria actually didn't have a clear-cut criteria in terms of deciding what is a proper mask, how should a medical mask be used, how should cloth masks be set up, etc. And we had to set up a separate pillar within the PTF to engage with local manufacturers. We called it a sustainability group, which engaged through the Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry with the Standard Organization of Nigeria, as well as local manufacturers, to make sure that the cloth masks that were being produced fulfill the standards required. And in the same way, I recall very well the issue of rapid test kits, which took a while to be introduced into the COVID response in the country. The main reason being that we were not convinced at the beginning that the rapid test kits were that effective in terms of their sensitivity and specificity to be able to conclusively diagnose COVID, as well as provide at least a measure of confidence where you get a positive result, as well as if you get a negative result, being able to continue with your activities. But engaging with the WHO really helped in this regard with the World Health Organization, because we were able to clarify and be able to make use of specific test kits within the country, as well as stopping the proliferation of test kits that wouldn't have been of any value at all. I can recall that I've raised in the past when I was in NACA, I've raised the issue of some of the HIV rapid test kits that were being sold in pharmacies across the country that were bought by businessmen going to China and just bringing in any sort of HIV test kit, a lot of which probably do not work well. And some do not even have a NAFDAC registration at all. So I cannot really emphasize enough the importance of the regulatory authorities when it comes to managing any sort of epidemic you have. If we had allowed test kits, all sorts of rapid test kits to come in with regards to COVID, we would have had complete confusion in the country by now. Even the PCR, we had issues with some of the PCR test kits, and we really had to stamp down on some of the private laboratories that were very ready to use test kits that were not really sanctioned or cleared by our regulatory authorities. So to this end, I would really thank NAFDAC as well as Standard Organization of Nigeria and in the international bodies for really assisting the country in this regard. I cannot but also mention the role of the private sector that has been extremely critical when in terms of the function of the PTF. Some of you would be aware of CACOVID, which was a coalition against coronavirus disease set up by the CBN governor together with Dangote and Access Bank and some of the major sort of business community in Nigeria. Despite all the negative press that had to do with issues of palliatives, etc., CACOVID actually did a good job in supporting us. I can recall when we had problems in Kano, where there were a lot of deaths, and there were concerns at the beginning around April, May, that there might be a major outbreak. We were able to resolve this simply by putting out a call to the private sector as well as other parts of government. And I'm pleased to say that without spending a single kobo from the PTF side, we were able to get on top of the Kano problem. The same applied as well to international travel. back in early September, there was huge pressure for us to open up the international airport. And at the time, we didn't really have an international travel portal. We had to approach CACOVID because the initial estimates we were given for opening up a portal were quite exorbitant. And CACOVID were able to deliver within a very short period of time. And they've continued to help us support the travel portal right up to this time as we transition onto NCDC taking over the travel portal. And I really cannot thank CACOVID enough for making sure that the country's COVID response was delivered in a very efficient way. I have mentioned earlier on the issue of confidence, public confidence, and public confidence is strongly linked to transparency. We worked very closely with the UN system, in particular with UNDP, as well as parts of State House to set up what we call the transparency portal, which provided the public for the first time with details of not only how much funds we had that had been received, but also how much had been spent and the amount of commodities that we had received across the board from our different partners, as well as their distribution. The transparency portal was actually a first when it came to government being able to provide information to the public. And I really must emphasize the importance of carrying this forward when it comes to the vaccination program. As government cannot really afford not to provide information to the public, not only in terms of how much is being spent when it comes to the vaccine program, but also how much vaccine we are expecting to come in, any safety issues that might arise from it, how many people have taken it, and if there have been any breakthrough infections as a result of vaccine. Because the COVID response at the moment is all about vaccination. Even though public health measures are still very important, it's still important for us to wear face masks, physical distancing, etc. But these public health measures require a change in behavior. And change in behavior is not easy, especially if it has to be sustained for a prolonged period of time. Some of us were really looking forward to throwing away our face masks when vaccination becomes available. But unfortunately, we really haven't got the confidence at the moment to say with absolute clarity that we can vaccinate our way out of this problem. However, without vaccination, definitely COVID will continue to take lives across the world. And it's something that we really cannot afford not to take seriously. And I'm really pleased Nigeria has been able to receive the 4 million vaccines currently in the country. I understand about 1 million persons have received their first dose. I hope this process is we can speed up the process and also make sure that the first 2 million persons that have been vaccinated with the first dose actually have the second dose. So I very much support the move by the Federal Ministry of Health to stop giving the first shot beyond the first 2 million persons, so that we can be absolutely certain that those first 2 million that have had the first dose will be able to have the second dose. While having said that, I don't want to talk too much about vaccination, but I just wanted to clear a few issues when it comes to the side effects. There is no medication that doesn't have a side effect, none. There are people that will take paracetamol and will get an allergic reaction. The incidence of thromboembolism related to the AstraZeneca and now the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is very rare. It's, in the UK, it's about 4 per million. And of course, if you have a situation where you are giving millions of people a drug or an injection, eventually, no matter how rare that side effect is, eventually that side effect will come through. What is important is for us to provide people with all the right information required for them to take an informed decision, and also remind the general public that vaccination is there for a purpose. Vaccination is not there to completely prevent a disease from happening. It may be there to attenuate an infection. It may be there to attenuate an infection. So for instance, the childhood vaccines that we have, the efficacy is between 85 to 90%. the flu vaccines that we give annually, the best flu vaccines probably have a match of maybe 60% at most, but they are there to prevent those that are most likely to catch and develop severe illness. Here in the UK, that I've now moved back to the UK to resume my job in Cambridge University hospitals, and it's just amazing the change we've seen in the number of elderly people coming in with severe COVID. Suddenly, COVID has moved to those that have not been vaccinated, those between the ages of 30, 40, and up to 50 years, where the vaccine program has not reached them. But for the elderly that have been vaccinated, those coming from care homes, etc., the ones that are most likely to have severe illness, they've practically gone away. Certainly, while I was on for the last few weeks, we haven't had a single elderly person coming in with severe COVID. They've all been people in their 30s or early 40s, taxi drivers, school teachers, security men, etc., coming in with COVID, but not the really elderly ones that we are most concerned about, or those with comorbidities. And from the ITU side, just today, for instance, in my local hospital, we don't have any patient in ICU. At one point, within the hospital, we had about between 300 to 400 persons with COVID on admission. We have currently only one person on admission. So it just shows that it's not just about lockdown. It's also about having a program of vaccination that is working and that is targeting the right group. It's impossible for you to vaccinate everybody in the world. But an example I would always give is the issue of smallpox, for instance. If smallpox had not been eradicated, we would have been having at least 5 million people dying every year from smallpox. The WHO estimates that between 3 to 4 million lives are saved just with the childhood vaccination. So when you take a vaccine, you're not taking a vaccine just for yourself. You're taking a vaccine for the purpose of protecting your loved ones, for the purpose of protecting public health, and you're doing a community. In other words, you're really doing something that is good for the community itself. I have a few more things that I wanted to mention. DG NAFDAC spoke about evidence-based and the need for us to continue to keep to the science and to keep to data. The enforcement agencies, the regulatory agencies, really need to continue to make sure that their policies, that their guidelines, that their rules with regards to licensing, etc., of drugs continues to be robust, whether or not it is related to COVID, whether or not we still have a pandemic going on. And I think this is where the role of pharmacists will continue to be very critical, particularly community pharmacists that continue to be the main link between us and the communities that we serve. Making sure that if you have a medication for treatment of malaria, for instance, you make sure that that medication is genuine. It was bought through a genuine source, or it was imported properly. It has the right regulatory authority or approval required. And this is really a job for all of us. It is not a job just for NAFDAC alone or some of the regulatory agencies. It's a job for all of us, whether we are in pharmacy or we are in health, etc. I can recall a period when some years back when one of my close relatives had pneumonia, and it was a straightforward lobar pneumonia, and from this end I advised on Quamoxiclav, and he had Quamoxiclav for a week without getting better, still having fever. And it was only after I spoke to a pharmacist friend who then went and checked what he was taking, and it was very clear it wasn't a genuine drug at all, and it had to be switched to genuine Quamoxiclav, and he subsequently improved, and this person could have died. So that's where really, from the pharmacy side, I would continue to push that. Let it be a collective effort. Let it not just be government. Let it not just be NAFDAC, but it's also the responsibility of the Pharmaceutical Council and the responsibility of every one of us, really. My main prayer, really, finally, is for the need for us, those of us that are in the health community, as well as the media people, to continue to take our responsibilities seriously. and continue to tackle the issue of social media and the negative effect of disinformation or misinformation when it comes to public health. And here, I'm not just talking about vaccines. You have every right to decide you don't want to have a vaccine, but you don't have a right to continue to disseminate myths and misinformation that will end up harming our people. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sani Aliyu. We appreciate you. I am aware of the changing program. We try to accommodate your choice of time, but it's a good thing that you responded to these changes and you are here today. We appreciate you, sir. Please, I would like to have your presentation so that we can give to our people and we can take more information from there for our report. I will ask my boss, Azu, to get back to you on that. But we thank you so much. Please, another round of applause for Dr. Sani Aliyu. He is the National Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 Management. Thank you so much. Now, we are getting to the end of the major discussion before we go to question and answers. We have, if you go to the chat room, a lot is still going there. It's okay. Like I said yesterday, and the day before yesterday, that's the reason why we are here. But please, I want to appeal again. The purpose of bringing these experts, very busy people, onto this program is for us to learn more from them. Yes, you have a contrary opinion, present it. I was writing out the questions before, but when the comments start getting elongated and rough, unfortunately, I could not write anymore. But the ones that I've written, when the time comes, I'm going to throw it to the DG, and thank God Dr. Aliyu is still around, I'm going to ask him. But please don't forget, we are here to exchange information and to learn. I mean, alluding that the DG of NAFDAC has no facts may not be right. I know that is not right. But we move on. Is Busayo in the house? Busayo?
Yes, sir.
Good. Your turn now to introduce the moderator of the day and the panelists. We only have two of the panelists in the house. We have Dr. N.A.E. Mohammed, and we have Mr. Omotayo Hamzat. But the moderator, Azubike Okwo, is in the house. So please go ahead and introduce them.
Thank you very much, sir. All protocols duly observed. Our moderator for today is a former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and is a very good orator at that, in person of pharmacist Azubike Okwo, FPFN. We have 5 panel discussants for today, but as Dr. Lulu Ojo has rightly said, just 2 of them are online presently with us. Our first panelist for today is our own registrar, the registrar for the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. He is popularly known as the Double Prophet, in person of pharmacist Dr. N.A.E. Mohammed, FPSN. We also have the Technical Officer, Essential Drugs and Medicines of the World Health Organization in our midst, in person of pharmacist Omotayo Hamzat. So I'd like to hand over now to the moderator of the day, pharmacist Azubike Okwo. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Busayo. Thank you. My president, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Busayo and the team.
You're welcome. Yes.
Lulu, I don't know how many minutes we have, but I know we have just 2 members of the panel. I think we have to be patient with ourselves when we discuss pandemics, especially the COVID pandemics that comes with so many complexities. If you listen to what is happening in that chat room, you really will wonder why what we're doing here if so much minds have been made about the COVID-19 pandemic, you also will wonder, the audience, where are we coming from? I thought that as scientists, we are here to inspire, not to conspire. For me, you can't look at pandemic without going back to the year 541 AD, the Justinian plague that killed, from the records, about 50 million people. And that was half of the population of the world. And if you move on from there, we had the bubonic plague, we had the 6th cholera pandemic, the Spanish flu, the Asian flu, the Hong Kong flu, the swine flu, and also the pervasive opposition to vaccination took roots, especially with the event that happened when we had the swine flu in the US. So we can say that these hesitancy to vaccines has some historical and sociological roots from that swine flu epidemic. Swine flu vaccine. What happened in the US with Gerald Ford as president, and he disagreed with WHO. In fact, WHO didn't approve of those vaccines. And because of political reasons, he went on and vaccinated about 45 million people in the US. And the result was something that had to force the Americans to stop the vaccine. So if we look at pandemics, we have to be compassionate. We have to listen. We have to be careful. When is the next pandemic? This certainly is not, one thing we are all agreed on is that this may not be the last pandemic. But I would like to say here that health professionals are the unsung hero of this pandemic. You can't take it away from health professionals. And I would like us, Lulu, at the end of the program or before the end, to take a minute and observe some silence for the lives of health professionals and other Nigerians and all over the world that are lost to this pandemic. It is true that the pandemic has a different face in Africa. And I'm sure that DG NAFDAC alluded to some of the reasons where we may not compare what is happening in Africa and what has happened in America, in India now, and in Brazil. But that just calls for caution. It didn't say we should begin to celebrate because we are not out of the woods yet. Somebody sometime on Tuesday talked about the media. The media has played a big role and was asking us to ponder a minute, a day without the media. And I would say, can we pause a moment here to ponder a day without medicine? I like the way Sani Aliu has characterized the role of pharmacists. The potential that has not been used in healthcare at the pharmacy. I'm happy we have here my registrar and also Omotayo Hamza, because the WHO have a role to play. They have always been there as a specialized agency responsible for public health. That is attainment of people's health by the highest number of people all over the world. We're going to listen to them. NAFDAC has done a very good job. We thought that the lockdown will also lock down NAFDAC, but the DG has explained to us that they were working. I'm sure we're going to listen to the two gentlemen and see how they have managed in spite of the increasing complexities and disruptions and constrained resources occasioned by COVID-19. I would like to take their input for 3-4 minutes each. And then we'll get back to the organizers and listen to what the chat house has to say. So without wasting much time, I call on my registrar, Dr. N.A.E. Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed, over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, my President Emeritus. I want to acknowledge the presence of our great prince, and also extend my felicitation to my friend and brother, Dr. Lulu Ojo, and other individuals on the high table and the participants. This is a very good opportunity for us to rub mind and see the individual roles everyone needs to play in this COVID era. As regards the role Pharmacists Council of Nigeria has played so far, the first major one was the compliance with the circular of the Office of the Head of Service, where informations were given to us and directives were passed on to us as regards participation of workers. We have to cope with that circular by reducing the number of staff in the system, most especially those on grade level 12 and down. And following that, we have to produce IEC materials for sensitization of pharmacists and most especially those in community pharmacy, to help us pass on the message of the COVID-19 to their various clients, and the individual responsibility of pharmacists and the consumers of their services concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. I can also recall that during the period we have to produce free ID cards to pharmacists to facilitate their movement as pharmacists, because there was lockdown and there was need for colleagues to move around and ensure that pharmaceutical services is not disrupted. So we have to produce free identification card for them so that they can move around in the country freely. And to that end, we also have to write a letter to the Inspector General of Police to grant unhindered movement for pharmacists and pharmaceutical inspector in the country, because some individuals hiding under the COVID and lockdown were involved in a lot of unwholesome practices, and the inspectors needed to be on the field to ensure that there is enforcement to protect the consumers of pharmaceutical services in the country. I also remember that the role of pharmacists in primary healthcare came to fore, and we have to discuss with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to re-emphasize the role of community pharmacists in primary healthcare. But we know that there are no policy to back this thing up, but we have to let them appreciate that pharmacists also play a greater role in the primary healthcare services, because they are part of the first point of contact of an average Nigerian, most especially in the rural areas, when it comes to healthcare services. And we believe that even in this vaccination and logistics, as far as vaccines are concerned, pharmacists have a great role to play. So the primary healthcare agency needed to see the need for pharmacists to be there and play a key role. We also recall that memos for reactivation of small-scale manufacturing in hospitals was also carried out by Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, because as approved by the Honorable Minister, we can recall that in our early years in pharmacy schools, hand sanitizer is something that a year 2 student can produce. So it became so embarrassing that even some hospitals were running helter-skelter to get access to simple hand sanitizer. And this brought to fore the negligence that the pharmaceutical sector and most of the hospitals have faced. And we have to call on leadership of the various hospitals and health institutions to please reactivate the the issue of small-scale manufacturing in hospitals. And I believe if those things were in place before now, issue of hand sanitizer availability wouldn't have been a challenge to anyone. And also, we have to activate and improve on our online licensing, so that even within your office or at home, you can do your licenses easily without human contact. With the MCPD, we also put online for people to also do, and we also digitalize regulatory activities, so to minimize human contact. With that, we were able to curtail the possibility of any contact with individuals who are already infected with COVID-19. And we also have to do what you call e-receipting. E-receipting also help to minimize contact, because before now, individuals, after payment, they will need to come to the office to have their receipt for proper documentation. But now we have put on online e-receipting, and that has also minimized physical contact between the workers and the clients of Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Enforcement activities were also done. As I said earlier, we have to get a special permit from the Inspector General of Police, because a lot of individuals were now involved in unwholesome practices and hiding under the COVID-19 pandemic. So with the approval of the Inspector General of Police, we were able to carry out some enforcement activities on community pharmacy, but most especially the PPMVs. And those are the areas really we have to focus on.
My yellow card is up.
Your yellow card is up, or the red is not yet up. So we have to put up also the COVID-19 working group to come up with advice and other areas that pharmacists will play a greater role in this fight against COVID-19. That's all I can put across to you for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my registrar. Thank you for a beautiful exposition of what you are doing and what you have done. In the house also is Motayo Hamzat, my good friend again. Hamzat, are you in the house? Hello, Hamzat.
Yes.
Are you in the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to have you. I checked the WHO dashboard yesterday, and I have 137,866,311 confirmed cases of COVID across the world. We have also 2,965,707 deaths reported to the World Health Organization. And then we have 734 million, please confirm these figures, 121,870 vaccines doses administered so far. I know that the WHO prescribed whole government and whole society response, which was built around a comprehensive blended strategy to prevent infection, save lives, and minimize impact. What do you think? How far have we gone with this, your proposal for the world on COVID? Let's hear from you, Hamza.
Thank you, sir. And let me thank the organizers of this program. It's an opportunity for pharmacists to come together and actually bring out the stuff we have made of and what we are contributing to this pandemic, mitigation of the pandemic. WHO is a UN organization that focuses on health. We work through a member state mechanisms, which means the member state decides what we do, and the mandates they give to us includes for us to put on programs and activities that will ensure universal health coverage, reduce health emergencies, and promote health and well-being. And in doing this, our work, particularly on on COVID-19 emanates from the health emergencies, which is to curb outbreaks. And in this, what do we do? Is focus on 4 areas, 5 areas actually. One is to give advice to the public, to health workers, to provide myth busters and manage infodemic. 2, technical guidance in all aspects of management of COVID-19 and other outbreaks. And particularly in this case, it's actually built around developing protocols and also preparing countries, making preparedness guidelines, providing surveillance, clinical care protocols, and so on. One of the strong points is vaccine development. And I see the chat room has been very active on vaccine development. Why Nigeria? Why can't we produce our vaccines? The role of WHO is to provide technical guidance in developing vaccines. And in doing this, we must also know that this borders on economy, business, and countries approaches this in different ways. For WHO, we do not go into the economic part fully, as in meddling in who goes into vaccine production. If you are ready, they provide guidelines on what should be done, the standards that should be met, the norms that have to be kept. And also we provide response to outbreaks. And for this pandemic, the response have included giving situation reports, like you went onto the dashboard yesterday and you were reeling out figures. It is because of the cooperation amongst member states in sharing information based on WHO mechanisms, which are validated before they are put online there. So you may see discrepancies between what is in the states, the countries are saying, and what WHO is even reporting for Nigeria. It is because data have to be validated before we put them online there. So I can assure you, because you asked that question, the data you see on that dashboard are very accurate because they have been validated. Good. We also manage disease outbreak through such capacity. We support countries by providing technical assistance, people who go to these countries and provide lead or coordinate the activities of the response in that country based on their own context. We do not dictate to countries, but we give advice on how to go about it. So it is left for countries to actually lead that. And in this case, I would say, just like Dr. Sani said, incidentally, I work with him on the technical team on PTF. Nigeria has done well in this. If you consider where we find ourselves, the economic situation and all other things. But in following WHO recommendations, WHO has done pretty very well. And that is possible through the mechanism that is put in place. That is the PTF that was put in place by the federal government. And the collaboration between the agencies of government and the PTF, particularly NCDC, MPACDA, NAFDAC, and so on. We work together seamlessly. Not that there are not challenges, but it was for the basis of what is the best principle, what is the best argument to move this on, and what the WHO recommend in this case. So in that case, I say Nigeria, we did very well in the response to COVID-19. Finally, the last part is research. We coordinate research. We also give guidance on how research should be conducted. We support countries in analyzing and giving interpretation to the researches they are doing. But we do that through mechanisms that assures an unbiased result are actually submitted in the final case. So with this, and particularly to COVID-19, WHO has supported countries and in harmonizing effort towards research and also in the development of vaccines. And like I said, this we do through provision of technical guidance on what should be done, what is the best options, what are the emerging evidences from data that we are receiving all over the world, what people should be thinking, what protocol should be put in place. And that is why you see, as we progress along the timeline, protocols even change, guidelines change. You have information today based on the availability of evidence. Tomorrow it changes because there are better, newer evidence that shows accuracy better than what we have yesterday. So WHO is a scientific organization, and we use evidence-based mechanisms to provide guidance and technical assistance to country. And for the vaccines, we also manage issuance of emergency use listing and pre-qualification of vaccines. This we do in collaboration with the National Regulatory Authority. For instance, in Nigeria, if Nigeria is producing a vaccine, NAFDAC must have certified that vaccine. NAFDAC must have collected the data and share with WHO. And we have of independent advisors who now review this data and gave best evidence or result on the efficacy and the safety profile based on the data that has been collected. So this we do through the member state mechanisms on 1, adverse event monitoring, 2, safety profile of the medicines, and 3, providing guidelines to countries on how to establish production lines if they want to go into that route. So I would like to stop there if the moderator will have some other question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hamza. Thank you very much. Actually, why I was giving the data on your dashboard about the doses of vaccine administered, it talks about 734 million doses administered so far across the world. And if we have a few cases of adverse effects, you will notice that it becomes, statistically insignificant. And for the anti-vaxxers, those who don't believe in the vaccine, like Dr. Liu said, please, you have a right not to take the vaccine, but that right ends with you. It will be
raised up in the room. Please, if you want to make a direct comment, you are free to raise up your hand.
Dr. Loluojo.
Yes? Yes, President. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm handing over to you for the question.
Oh, thank you so much. I've taken, I understand you very well. Before you say it, I already know.
Thank you. And then you wanted to go to Abuja. My findings, I Googled why people don't leave Lagos for Abuja and discovered there's a virus, all you living in Lagos, that will prevent you from moving out of Lagos anywhere, even when you suffer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, my president. We will discuss the Abuja issue out of the meeting. Now, like I said, if you want to make a comment direct, just raise up your hand. We will say it and we'll let you know. But we still have the DG of NAFDAC present. We have Dr. Sonia Leyu in the house. See, there are questions that people are asking, and I think all just relate to the doubts, the concerns about the safety of the vaccine. In fact, some people are asking questions, why are we talking about it? So many other things. But these are things that I picked up. What is the use of the vaccine if I can still get sick? That is, why am I going to take the vaccine if I will still get sick? This one big thing that I pick. Then there is a question. Can we have, all these are directed to the NAFDAC DG, can we have studies done in Nigeria on the vaccines? And if there are, can you share the link so that we'll be able to assess it? Then there is a third one. There are so many, but I just try to summarize like this. Why are the rural community free from COVID-19? That's the question which the DG NAFDAC can respond to. Madam DG, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ojo. The first question is about, can I get sick after getting the vaccine? Yes, people can get sick after getting the vaccine. When they said that a vaccine is efficacious, up to 91%, 95%, 68% or whatever, that shows that it's not effective or it's not going to be efficacious for 4, 5% or even more than that. So this is statistics, and it's a simple statistics actually in terms of possibility of getting sick. However, if I get vaccine and I don't protect myself by wearing mask in an environment where most people are still not vaccinated or they are not wearing mask, then I'm exposing myself. I'm very likely I will get COVID-19 vaccine, COVID-19 disease rather. So it is just a logical way of unpacking or simplifying what is happening. The fact that somebody gets vaccinated doesn't mean that person cannot. However, if most of the people, and that is where the herd immunity comes in. If most people in that community had already taken their vaccine, then it means that at a point, we can interact more with each other without necessarily using mask. But that is going to be maybe 2022 when we get to the herd immunity level. The second question is studies. Are there studies done with these vaccines? When I hear things like this, I also feel a little sad because it means that we don't know the situation in our country. We left science. We left science. Our emphasis on science became diminished right from the university. The government neglected to put money into research. There is nothing we can get out of it if we don't put money into research and we are not committed to do research. That's the early part of my answer. But in terms of this vaccine, we are doing right now cohort event monitoring. Cohort event monitoring is a what will I call it? A crystallized type of study. We are doing passive pharmacovigilance as we speak. We have maybe hundreds of our staff, PV staff, pharmacovigilance staff all over the country, following this vaccinees. They are supposed to follow the vaccinees for about 7 days. That is passive pharmacovigilance. Active pharmacovigilance is doing studies on the vaccine. NAFDAC submitted an ethics protocol to NREC, and we got the approval. We are working with NCDC, where genome sequencing will take place. Research doesn't happen overnight. Research takes time. It takes planning. But because we've already done the phase 1 of the AstraZeneca, we will need to wait until the next phase comes in to start. And what are we going to do? We're going to be evaluating or assessing the immunogenicity, reactogenicity of the vaccine. We're going to be taking samples and see how their immune level is building up and for how long. So we got the vaccine rollout was March, and it was distributed, mid-March. So the nature of science is, you cannot, it's time. You have to marry time with it and marry good planning with it. We cannot do any clinical evaluation or cohort event monitoring without clinical protocol approval. You cannot get clinical protocol approval without you being trained to handle human subjects during clinical trial, meaning all of us on that team must have gone through the protection of human subjects. So these are things that might have delayed or that may appear to have delayed the study. But the question is a good question. It is that we are doing it and we're going to come up with very informative results. Rural community, why are they free from COVID? It's just about community spreading of virus. If not many people from a highly infectious area go to that community, the probability of that community getting COVID is very low. So it is whether, there is a lot of interaction between people moving from one area that is prevalent, that has high prevalence versus the rural area. So that is common sense. If somebody from the rural or many people from the rural come to Lagos, for example, or Abuja, and they don't protect themselves, they will take it back to their community. And of course, that community may have COVID disease. Thank you very much.
So much, Madam DG. We appreciate you. We appreciate the time put into this and the passion with which you discharge your assignment. Thank you so much. I have two hands up, and I will call our dear traditional ruler who was here with us yesterday and made a very insightful comment. May I request that you speak to us again? Yes, unmute yourself, sir. Unmute yourself. You can just unmute. Okay, it's muted. All right, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, speak to us, sir.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to send my felicitations to all the dignitaries who are here and appreciate what they have been doing and what they have done today. I find this session very informative, and it has cleared a lot of things that I think need to be cleared. What I am concerned about is how these messages could go through the grassroots. And that, I think, is where we need to put emphasis. How these messages go through to the grassroots. It's certainly beneficial we sit down here as elites to discuss these issues. But I believe if we are able to find avenues whereby our professional colleagues and associations, go to their localities and see how they could bring people together and they push these things to the people. A lot of misconceptions, many of them, sometimes I find surprising from very enlightened people. Some of us don't go to do enough research. At the end of the day, we put ourselves at the mercy of uninformed people instead of people who should trust better, because they have no other intention but to bring out what is best for us. With due apology to anyone who might feel I am not agreeing with the concerns being put forward, but my own personal opinion is that I prefer to take the risk of relying on information, on science, than relying on others who I think may not be as privileged as those who have done research, and those who are professionals in the field. Certainly there are concerns. Nobody is saying there are no concerns, just like it is with any other thing that we bring forward. But I really think we should trust people who should be trusted more than others who I think we have little reason to trust, or maybe who don't have enough information on issues that they are talking about. But my greatest point I'm making here is how we could get information, correct information, to the grassroots. And I think we have structures that could be used to pass this information. I thank you very much for this opportunity and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, the Emir of Bungudu, Alhaji Hassan Bungudu. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Just yesterday, you really gave us cause to know that things are happening even at the communities that you are serving. Thank you so much. Omotayo Amzat, your hands is up. Maybe you have a few comments to make more.
Thank you, Dr. Lulu. I just wanted to add some clarifications to some questions and to also follow up on what the DG has said, particularly about the safety of the vaccines. I want to assure us that the vaccines are safe and efficacious. And when we say safe and efficacious, it does not mean that there are not adverse events. It does not mean that you may not get the disease. And let me explain. But before that, I want to say, if I have malaria and I use anti-malaria, does it mean that I won't get malaria again if I live in malaria-infested or mosquito-infested areas? The vaccine that we have now, we protect you by reducing the chances of having serious illness or fatality. So it reduces the rate of transmission. It reduces the possibility of somebody coming down with severe illness and complication. And it also reduces the rate of death. If I take the vaccine today and I come down with COVID-19 tomorrow, possibility is that I have been infected before I took the vaccines. The vaccines will take a few weeks before the immunity settings. So within that space, you can have. But I tell you, there's none of the vaccine that we have now have the live organisms or even the attenuated organisms. So the vaccine itself cannot give you COVID-19. And people have casted doubt on a lot of the myth because of the way even this whole thing started. There were a lot of rumors, a lot of myths surrounding it. I've seen people querying how can we have vaccines within 1 year? Whereas what WHO did is to analyze the process into the delivery of vaccines and identify the barriers. Some of them are vertical process, which they now recommended you can do in parallel, which means instead of waiting to complete a process, I can start another process at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Hamzat. We have more people raising up their hands.
Okay.
We have
the
more
other
people
reason is availability of funding, which was also provided through collaboration.
Thank you so much.
So I want to assure there are concerns, but the concerns will come up because we are now vaccinating large number of people.
It's okay.
And then rare will come up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we always be concerned. I'm not sure there will be a day in this world where we will not have concerns. I still have so many hands up, but so please, 1 minute so that we can move on. Sir Ike Onyeche, can we have you? Sir Ike, please. Please unmute yourself and talk to us.
Thank you, Dr. Lolu. Thank you very much. You are doing a great job there. Thank you. We are very proud of what you and your committee has put together. I also want to thank all the contributors, especially the DG NAPHARM, for a lot of information we've just received. And Dr. Aliu from almost take note of what Dr. Aliu was saying from UK, the way this has nosedived. I just want to emphasize that. And but my question is to our regulators, especially my registrar, my DG NAPHARM, the WHO chief. In view of what we know now about medicine security, in view of what we are reporting, some of us will import from all other parts of the world, all the vaccines or other essential medicines that we use, in view of the fact that the countries are stopping exports. I was almost quarreling with a supplier in the UK because their regulatory agencies have said, you can no more export this anesthetic out of UK. You can no more export this neuromuscular muscle blockers like atracurium, like succinylmetonium. These are things we must use every day in our theaters. They are not manufactured here. And some of them will have capacity to make them. The vaccines, we have a vaccine lab in Yaba that has remained moribund. I'm aware. And WHO next door to them, they also know that there are regulatory requirements that has tied us up to vaccine regulating and controlling companies, organizations worldwide, UNICEF, WHO, and some other agencies for the next coming maybe 4 or 5 years. The plans are made and are sealed. I'm saying now that the best thing we'll do out of this, with the information we have, is to sit together. If we have to, waive, call a force majeure, whatever, call off some of these agreements, and let's start our vaccine manufacturing laboratories. Now, there are other regulations NAFDAC and Council must have to waive now. Otherwise, the information we have now, even in the next 2 or 3 months, everybody will see the crisis that is coming. There are drugs we cannot import now. So without taking more time, I'm only citing this one because as we all know, this is what I've done for the better part of 40 years of my practice, looking all over the world to get things that are not available and bringing them down here. That's what we do mostly in Alpha Pharmacy.
Thank you, sir.
We are being restricted here and there. So please, it's important that we do something now, even after this meeting. I'm just saying it because all the people responsible are right here on this forum, and it's wonderful that they are all on one panel. PS
thank you,
Council.
thank you, sir.
So thank you, please. We need
thank
to
you very
do
much,
something,
sir.
please.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I think that we are achieving the purpose of our being here with comments
Wonderful.
like you.
Yes, you are.
I see you have so many hands up, but Biodun, I'll put you on the spot tomorrow. So reserve your energy for tomorrow. Reserve your comments for tomorrow. Tumise Japa, 1 minute.
Hello,
1 minute, please.
Okay. Good day, everyone. I hope I can be heard. My name is Tumise Japa. I'm actually calling in from Toronto, Canada, and I'm a full Nigerian. I work as a software engineer and as an artificial intelligence technologist with one of the government agencies here in Canada responsible for health issues. Now, I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to get straight to it. I listed down a few points. As regards the vaccine, I've always, the speaker that spoke before the last one, we've always, what I've heard most oftentimes is, the efforts to try to reduce the fear about, talking about the chances of infection, that vaccine reduces the chances of infection. But just as the DG of NAFDAC said as well, it doesn't prevent the infection. However, I think from the facts that I've been exposed to on the field right here and what I've heard so far, I really think a more balanced conversation will be about the converse of the fact that the vaccine prevents the chances of infection. And that's what I think is the core concern of most people, as we are found here in Canada and from what I hear in Nigeria, which is the converse of the fact that that vaccine prevents the infection, which is the concern the people have, the risks they are exposed to. So I think a more balanced discussion is, yes, we talk about the chances of not of reducing infection, but people are concerned about the risks associated with taking the vaccine, as we have seen online. Secondly, I've always had this question, and again, it is a debate right here as well, which is the Moderna vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, the mRNA in itself. On the Moderna TX website, it does not categorize it as a vaccine. It categorizes it as a technology. It is actually a gene therapy technology. So and that in itself raises concerns. And I'm trying to cross-reference issues we're having here and exactly the same concerns that are being raised in Nigeria, which is why I believe this honorable, forum is being converged so that people can address those things. So again, the dilemma of people trying to figure out, I have a 99.7% chance of recovering if I get infected with COVID. Finally, the PCR test. Personally, I have tested positive for COVID about 5 times. And to be honest with you, I've just been taking pepper soup and I'm fine. Like, there's no problem. I don't have any health issues. Yes, we've talked about asymptomatic, but yet, in this industry of testing materials, the PCR testing facility, the test kit itself, even by the inventor, it raises a lot of false positives. What are we doing in terms? I mean, I believe the power brokers in the pharmacy and the health industry in Nigeria are here. What are we doing to address those questions?
Thank you.
Because these are scientific facts that exist.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I got something from what you said. If 99% will recover without taking anything, even what is 0.1% of 7 billion population of the world? So we just allow them to die. I mean, these are questions that we will take later on. Well, I'm tempted to take just one more, and this is Onwategu Obianuju. Can you speak to us 1 minute? Can you unmute yourself and speak to us? Uju, are you still there? Your hand is still raised.
Is ready.
Okay, Dr. Elijah Mohammed, 1 minute. Dr. Elijah Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to respond to the speech by the MD of Alpha Pharmacy. The coming of COVID-19 has been very interesting. What I'm only going to advise us all is that we should all look out for the Zoom solution, because COVID brought what we all now know as Zoom. I believe if we all start to look out for the Zoom solution to medicine security in Nigeria, then we'll be headed somewhere. We could recall that the federal government through the CBN provided some funds to the pharmaceutical industry. So we should also be asking them, what are they doing with that fund? So we cannot just focus on government and its regulatory agencies alone. We should all look out for the Zoom solution to rescue Nigeria from this issue of medicine security. So the manufacturers, how do we move forward? Those in the petrochemical industry, how do we move forward? So those in the academics, how do we move forward? So it's a collective responsibility for us all to provide a Zoom solution to drugs, medicine security in this country, because a time may come that we may not have countries to import drugs from. So what do we do? So it's something that is a wake-up call for everyone to join government in looking at for the Zoom solution as regards pharmacy security in Nigeria. That's just what I want to pass across, Dr. Lu. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
want to thank everybody for your patience. We're already 30 minutes beyond our targeted time. Let me at this point call on Dr. Daud Dangiwa to give us summarize within 2 minutes. Dr. Dangiwa. Dr. Dangiwa, are you in the house? It's listed here. Dr. Dangiwa, yes, please. Okay. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. We have this as I want to appreciate the entire organizing committee and especially the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy. We want to appreciate our DG, the DG of NAFDAC, the person of Professor Mojishola Adeye for her good work. We want to also appreciate pharmacist Hamza for his own presentation and the panelists. Today's the roles of regulatory and international bodies during the COVID-19 pandemic. The NAFDAC DG went through memory lane to give us the panorama of this pandemic, but I will speak mostly on the myths and the facts. I also look at the charts and I will summarize the myths this way. They are basically not strange because the pandemic itself ushered in some psychosocial problems, which are evident in some of the write-ups today. Most patients, most writers or authors in this forum are speaking out their minds. So I don't condemn anybody. They are speaking their minds because partly it could be because of the COVID-19 itself, and partly because they need information. The purpose of this program is to exchange information and improve knowledge on COVID-19. And most especially the journalists, the media, friends of our friends from the media, it is to enhance their reportage and give them a good coverage based on scientifically proven information. I want to really stress the fact that the Emir of Bungudu, Alhaji Hassan Bungudu, right from yesterday has been re-echoing it. He is listening to it because he believes in scientific facts. And once they are proven, these are not tales by moonlight. These are proven facts because they follow the order of science. And so he is here as an opinion leader. So that helps us to promote, to increase the awareness in his own community. And I think the journalists and some of us pharmacists should borrow it.
It's okay, Dr. Dangiwa.
From this highly distinguished. The facts about COVID-19, we still have to maintain the non-pharmaceutical protocols.
Yes, Dr. Dangiwa, thank you so much. We will appreciate your summary and conclusion in writing so that we can publish as soon as possible. Thank you so very much. We're getting nearly to the end. I'm not sure whether Maz is still in the house. Mazi Yohabua, are you still in the house, the PSM president? No, I'm not sure. So let me at this point now call on Prince Adelusi Adeluyi, the president of Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, for his remarks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what a day we have had. We have planned and we have reaped a greater measure of success than we had imagined. And this is because of the active participation. I want to, on behalf of the organizers. I appreciate some of the people. The vote of thanks is coming from a better person later, but this is just a corporate summing up. First of all, there are people in the chat room who are full of vigorous ideas. All I want to say to them is that please continue with this vigor of your expressions, but please try and engage offline. Any of the people you have seen here today, if you have any difficulties, let us know, because we are here to organize a positive, healthy, intellectual engagement on this subject matter. Secondly, we are quite lucky to have this under the chairmanship of the president of the PSN, a very busy young man, but who has given us time to be here. The guest speaker has not let us down. Remember that she got this job on the 3rd of November 2017, and she hit the ground running. And from the volume and depth of the presentation, you can see that she has gathered a whole lot of experience on her job. The job is not a popularity responsibility. It's not a popularity contest, and I think she appreciates that. In drawing up regulations, in drawing up safety standards, in drawing up rules for those concerned to make for a better society. Some people may not have been happy, but I know that you are a strong young lady who can focus on your focus. And that's what you're doing. And I also appreciate your very professional approach to this. You're very strong on ethics, and your moral compass is appreciable. And I'm particularly interested in your favorable disposition to matters for the young people. And I wish you success in your private enterprise of Sarah Extended Family Homes for Children. But we appreciate you as a pharmacist and ethical leader. Surprise, surprise, we had Dr. Sani Aliu, who has surprised us by his support. PTF National Coordinator until recently, but I have known him since he was a young medical director in the villa. Very few people know that. Very few people also know that he was DG of NACA, the National Agency for the Control of AIDS. In his young life, he has managed to accumulate a whole lot of experience. These are the kind of Nigerians that we must continue to encourage. But generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the discussions have been very clean, very deep, very informative, even when we put into consideration what's been going on in the chat room. That's why we have this exercise, so that those who are pro it and those who are against it would have a very vigorous exchange of ideas. I apologize that some of you, like Biodun Fasimi, like Chizuna Memeje, like some of the others, haven't had the time to express themselves today, but there's always another day. Please remind the people tomorrow that you want to speak. We are ready to accommodate views, no matter how pro or con, moderate or extreme. And we thank you for your cooperation and attendance. I also believe that Azubu Ike-Okwo, the only fellow of the FIP in Africa, has demonstrated to us his dexterity of managing persons. And those persons who have been managed have done very well. When you think of the registrar of the PCN, Dr. Double Prophet, and also the WHO representative in Nigeria, Alhaji Omotayo Hamzat. I say to you, Ramadan Karim, and may you continue to succeed as a technical officer on essential drugs and studies and medicines in WHO in Nigeria. Now, these are some of the observations that we want to make as an academy, and we want to remind you again that all pharmacists are together in this whole attempt of making sure that the pharmacists are heard vis-a-vis this pandemic. There's a tendency for pharmacists to be underutilized, under-recognized, under-respected in matters of health. And I'm happy that in the last few days, we have been the center of discussion. And the Nigerian Guild of Editors have made things easy. I've been trying to look for Azu, who is the brain behind a whole lot of organization we're doing from the Nigerian Guild of Editors. I know he's a very busy young man. When you see his face, you'll see how handsome he is. But he has to say something about on behalf of the NGE, the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Tomorrow is important. It is the last day. We've had 6 days of very active, informative exchange of ideas, but tomorrow is the last day. Try and be there because we're putting things together. We're going to be talking about lessons learned. If you can't come, like if you're a big boss like NAFDAC boss, make sure you have a representative who will give you a verbatim report, because tomorrow we're going to allow more people outside pharmacy, more people who feel very vigorously and anti this vaccine thing to participate. There must be a reason why Africa remains on the satellite range, not in the center of things in this world. Only 2 days ago, Malawi decided to destroy 16,000 doses of something that was given free to them on the basis that they got it with only 3 weeks expiry date. The day will come when Africans, beginning with Nigeria, would be in charge, and we will be able to make our own vaccines. We're on the way with people like the NAFDAC lady and others who are very stellar professionals. So the partnership appreciates all of you who have come to participate in this positive intellectual engagement. Over to you, Lulu, so that we can have all these things presented and have Azu make his own observations to end it all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our president for being around since Monday. He has not missed one day. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being there for us every time. And like he has said, tomorrow, not only will you ask questions, you'll be given the spot. Beodun, you are my friend now. You became my friend yesterday. Tomorrow, you'll be on the spot yourself. Come on, let's have your own theory about how these things should be done, what we should be doing. And I'm sure the NAGDA DG will listen to you. Don't worry about that.
What we have before us is just a token of our appreciation to those who have made today successful. It's a plaque. I have first one here that is for Sam Mazi Ohuabonwa, President, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Yes. Okay. So I have for the National Coordinator of PTF, special guest today, Dr. Sani Aliu.
Okay.
Yes. And then this is for the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Muji Adeyeye. Please, if you can take it immediately. So, then I have this for Hamzat Omatayo, the Technical Officer, Essential Drugs and Medicines, World Health Organization, Nigeria. Omatayo, thank you. Thank you. This is for the past president of Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, pharmacist, Azubike Okwa. Thank you. Yeah. And the PCN registrar, Dr. Pharmacist, N.A.E. Mohammed. Thank you very thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. I think it is time for me to call on my boss, big man. The day I learned that he's the mentor to my leader was the day I know that I had to be crawling before this man. Mr. Azubike Isekwene, the Group Managing Director of Leadership Newspaper and the co-chairman of the committee that planned all this. Azu, your turn for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope I can be heard. But my assignment this afternoon is very simple and straightforward. After listening to Prince Julius Adeluyi, the president of the National Academy of Pharmacy, and the man that we all call my Lord Pharmaceutical, after listening to his eloquent remarks, I was wondering how I could overcome the temptation of speaking after he has spoken. And I think the only way I can overcome that temptation is by speaking as briefly as possible. And in doing so, to thank him, first of all, as the president of the Academy of Pharmacy, and also to thank other distinguished persons who have found time to be on this call, including, of course, the chairman and president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Maazi Ohuabonwa. I would also like to thank the keynote speaker of the day, Professor Muji Adeyeye, and the NAFDAC DG for the excellent and extraordinary job that she did in her presentation and for her time and passion. I would, of course, also like to thank my very good friend and the special guest of honor on this call, who, even though his schedule was adjusted slightly, still found time from his base in the UK to be with us. I'd like also to thank the moderator of the very vigorous and engaging session of conversation after the keynote was given. I'd like to thank the panelists, the PSN registrar, and the WHO representative in Nigeria. I'd like to thank the director of programs and my boss, who pretends that I'm his boss. I'm talking, of course, of Dr. Lulu Ojo. I'd like to thank all past presidents on this call, and also to thank our father, the Emir of Bogundu, Hassan Bogundu, who has joined us and I understand has been with us since yesterday. I'd like to thank everyone, and also my particular and deep, profound thanks go to members in the chat room. The reason why we have organized this forum is for us to engage the way we have. And as my Lord Pharmaceutical said, I do hope that after this conversation, we can continue more robust and productive conversations offline. I'd of course like to thank my friends and colleagues, the journalists who are either present physically or online, including of course the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Mr. Mustafa Issa, on whose behalf I am speaking for the Guild. And I'd like to thank my immediate boss on this project, Sir Ifeanyi Atwei. Once again, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone, and we hope to have you back on this call tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Azu, you have done so well. I can testify to that. Yes, just like we did yesterday, we need to end with a prayer. A volunteer, please. Yes. Professor Mangi here. Okay. Oh. No, then let me call on Dr. Elijah Mohammed. You are Elijah, you are Mohammed. So you can combine the two prayers in one. Yes, Dr. Elijah Mohammed, a word of prayer to round it up.
Okay. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we want to thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for the resource persons you have deployed for this program. I will thank you for all the resolutions that will come out from this program that will move Nigeria forward. Father, I want to thank you for the enlightenment you have put forward to us all. I will pray thee, O Lord, that all the resources we are able to gather today shall not be wasted, that we shall individually and collectively deploy it to the improvement and betterment of this nation, Nigeria. Amen. All this we ask in Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Thank you so much, Elijah Mohammed, double prophet. Even at closing, we have 82 people in the house. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam DG. Thank you, Dr. Sonny Aliyu, who has disengaged. Thank you, my president, Zubike Okwo, the PSM president, everybody. We'll end with the national anthem. Uchi Akpakama, I see you. Big man, I see you there. MAM, Mustafa, Musiba, Doctor.
This is Biadu. You did not call me today. Biadu, I'm greeting you, Doctor.
Okay,
this
thank
is
you. Oh, good. Thank you so much. Suga, when I need you, I was looking for you. I couldn't find you. But now you are here. Nice to see you.
My again.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
My
Well done,
Professor, I know you are
one,
there. Eflin, the permanent secretary. It's a long time. Seeing all of you. It's nice to see all of you here. Yes. So many. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Benga, we have seen you in the house. Thank you.
We have a special cake before us, and this cake says Sweet 16 at 70. It says happy birthday to Professor. Yesterday, Julie said, bang, anything she does is the bang. Yes, Professor, bang, Femi Oyewo. And while she's sitting down here, how will she? Yeah, let's sing birthday for her. She will sit down, and we all stand up and sing a happy birthday for her. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh, birthday to you. We are wishing you happy birthday. This cake is not from me. This cake is from Alpha Pharmacy. God will bless Sir Ike Onyechi for this occasion. And God will continue to bless the celebrant. God bless you.
Amen.
You are blessed. You are blessed.
Amen.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't believe this. But yes, Sweet 16, that used to be my nickname from the students from Ife, University of Ife, as far back as then. No, that's what I've always been called by the students and everyone, you know. I just want to say thank you to Sir Ike Onyechi. I didn't believe it when he was saying, oh, Sweet 16. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. I want to thank him very much, and the wife, the family, and also the Alpha Pharmacy. This is a pharmacy I just call and run to. I am this, that's my, they will just do it and send it to my house, you know. You receive it now. I want to thank IG, you know, who is in charge there. IG of pharmacy, IG of NAIB, IG of, the first time I had IG at the council meeting, I was wondering, is Inspector General of Police coming here? Before I knew that it was him. So IG, thank you very much. May the Lord bless and prosper Alpha Pharmacy. You've always been there, Alpha at the top. May you continue to be at the top. Whatever it takes for you to be there, God will grant unto you the organization in Jesus' name. Thank you very much, the President.
Please, those online can now go. Those online can go. Bye-bye. So we can settle this matter now.
Online.